2014. It's time for some retro beats. Welcome to the January episode of the Retro Beats podcast. My name is Derek Alexander. This is a Space Money Octagon production. Check out spacemoneyoctagon.com. Hey, what on earth is Retro Beats? What? Have you never heard of this podcast? I wouldn't blame you. Let me explain what we do here. Well, this is a video game music theme podcast. You probably figured that much out, but I got some rules here with how I want to do this thing. This is not chiptune. This is not cover bands. This is not remixes. Not that I have any problem with that stuff, but what I want to do here is I want to find that underground or that lesser known, that niche video game soundtracks from games you never heard of and songs you never heard of, or maybe games you have played but never thought to actually listen to the soundtracks. For example, we just heard Time Lord for the Nintendo. That was a title screen music. A friggin' terrible game, but actually has a couple of really good tracks, and we're actually going to hear another track here in a minute. After that new Time Lord track, we're going to hear Gremlins 2 for the Nintendo, Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge for the Nintendo, Crystallis for the Nintendo, Power Quest for the Game Boy, because Tyson wanted to hear some Power Quest, but I'm telling you, man, this is not the song that you requested. There's better songs on this shit than I think you realize, man. And then finishing us off will be some Megaman 5 for the Game Boy, not the Nintendo, the Game Boy. Listen, it's Retro Beats. It's 2014. It's time to fucking get it. Stay positive. It's going to be a new year. It's a new beginning. Let's have some fun. And yo, listen to this song right here. It's great. Don't play the game. It's Time Lord from Rareware. They made bad games. Who knew? Yeah, they did. add that one to the long, long list of great songs that appear in Dr. Wily levels. That was the Wily Star from Mega Man 5 for the Game Boy. Before that, Power Quest. That song was called Nervously, and that's also a Game Boy joint. That one comes sort of as a request from Tyson. He wanted to hear the title screen music from that game, but I'm telling you, man, there are way better songs on this soundtrack than the title screen, but maybe one day I'll get there. And I know that song is called Nervously. That's all I can really say. I'm not too familiar with where it appears in the game. I'm honestly not too familiar with Power Quest. Tyson got me hip to it, and I played it for a few minutes, but really just I dove into that soundtrack and was pretty blown away. So maybe one day I'll crack that thing open and actually play the game, but until then I'll just really appreciate the soundtrack. Before that, we had Crystallis. That is the theme that appears in both the mountain levels, so I just call it the mountain theme. That's also a Nintendo game. Before that, Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge, the ARMS Cargo Transit, which is the train level. And I think that game gets a bit of a bum rap, but I think it's mainly because Kojima had absolutely nothing to do with it. But growing up, I think I almost preferred Snake's Revenge to the original Metal Gear because, man, did I get freaking lost all the time in the original Metal Gear. And as much as we all love Metal Gear, we have to admit that that game's got some serious damn problems. So because the game was a little more linear, a little more easier to figure out, I think I used to really, really like Snake's Revenge, but I haven't played it in a long time. Before that, Gremlins 2 had to get some Sunsoft. That was the Gremlins Battle, which is just known as the final level. And kicking us off was some Time Lord. Listen, up next, I'm gonna fuck around and play a whole block from Kid Dracula for the Game Boy. Not the Famicom. I think the Game Boy's got a better soundtrack. I recently got this game and started playing it, and I was really blown away by how great the soundtrack was. I was only really familiar with a couple of songs, and I played them on previous episodes, but then when I got the whole game and started listening to the soundtrack, man, I was blown away. So here's a whole chunk from the Game Boy version, not the Famicom version, of Kid Dracula. bunch of songs from Kid Dracula for the Game Boy. I love how that soundtrack runs the gamut from just jaunty, upbeat, happy songs to some more sinister stuff. So just front to back, really, really good stuff and a very good game. I unfortunately had to buy it for like $50 on an Amazon purchase. I'd been holding out to try and find a cheap version of that game, but after years of trying to find a cheap version and waiting for one to come in, I just wasn't able to get one, so I bit the bullet and bought that game for like $50, and I gotta say it's worth it. It's pretty good. Just a quick rundown of what we heard. That was level 7, level 6, level 1-2, level 3-1, and then kicking us off was level 2-1. You know, when I was putting together this list here, and I was putting together the songs, I realized, man, there's a lot of Nintendo and Game Boy songs on here, and don't worry, I'm gonna remedy that in a minute, but we have to suffer through another chunk of NES games. I got a whole bunch of weird stuff here. We're going to have some Anticipation, Gyromite, Rolling Thunder, Goonies 2, Kabuki, Quantum Fighter, and one more from Time Lord. And then I got a whole bunch of requests. Actually, to close us out, nothing but requests from Genesis games. So stick around. Okay, so listen, I grew up on the Nintendo, I grew up on the Game Boy, it's just what I know best, it's what I know the most, so it's not that I don't like the Genesis or I don't like other systems, that's just how I know, and it's what I grew up with, and there's a lot of, I get requests for like Commodore 64 stuff, or, you know, ZX Spectrum, and like, yeah, we didn't have those in America, much less in Alaska, which is where I'm currently sitting, so that's just what I know, but I appreciate requests, and up next here, nothing but requests, but let's recap what we just heard. In the background right now, actually, is Pulseman. That's some Genesis music, we'll get to that in a second. Stage 2 from Time Lord, again, pretty impressed by this soundtrack. The game, before that, Kabuki Quantum Fighter, that was round 3 for the Nintendo. Goonies 2 for the Nintendo, a game that I will defend forever. I think that game is great. That was the underground area. Rolling Thunder, Act 2/3. Fucking love the bass line on that track so much. Gyromite, and I don't know about you, whenever I hear that song, I can't help but think of awesome video games and Ace and Chet and Dad doing their dumb little dance. And Frasier, I know you making that money with video games, awesome, but like, man, one of these days, awesome video games has got to come back. I gotta know what Ace and Chet and Dad are up to. I gotta know. Then kicking us off, of course, way back there was Anticipation, the player select screen from Rareware. I would go as far as to say that, you know, between Anticipation and Time Lord and like the Wizards and Warriors games and stuff, overall, I would say Rareware's games on the Nintendo have better soundtracks than the actual games are. So, alright, let's move it forward, change it up, a whole different spectrum here. How about some Genesis games? Kicking us off, actually, it's not, right here, it's not a Genesis game. This is a Mega Drive game, released only in Europe and Australia. How about a weird track from a game you probably never thought this, when I say underrated, and when I say underground and niche, this is what I'm talking about. From requests, I got Daffy Duck in Hollywood, the option/game over screen, and then a track from Phelios, hope I'm saying that right, Jewel Master, Decap Attack, and then Dragon's Fury, which I didn't realize was just Devil's Crush for the TurboGrafx on the Genesis. Had no idea. Here's a bunch of Genesis games. If you were on my Facebook or on my Twitter, thank you for the requests. This goes out to you guys and gals. Enjoy. Nothing but Genesis right there, from Dragon's Fury, aka Devil's Crush, a song that basically some power metal band like Dragon Force ought to cover. That's just the main board theme. That is a pinball game, and the Aliens and Devil Crush games for the TurboGrafx are actually two of probably the best games on the TurboGrafx, but I was not aware that this came out on the Genesis. I'm going to have to track that down. Some pretty great stuff. Before that, Decap Attack, level 4. You know, I've played that game a couple of times on compilation packs. It's a really good Genesis compilation pack on the PS2 and then one for the Xbox 360. And I've played that Decap Attack a couple of times, and I'm not sure that I get it. It's maybe it is actually great. I haven't given it the chance, but what little I played of it, I wasn't really all that impressed. But the soundtrack, yeah, level 4, some really good stuff. Before that, Jewel Master, Stage 1. Before that, Phelios, I hope I'm saying that right, that was Chapter 6. And then kicking us off, Daffy Duck in Hollywood for the Mega Drive. Again, only released in Europe and Australia, even though the game is called Daffy Duck in Hollywood. So let's continue this Genesis theme. We close out with from one of the classics, one of the greats, from Gunstar Heroes. We're going to kill it here with the end of the battle to Outworld. This is the closing number to that game, and it is the closing number to the January 2014 episode of Retro Beats. Once again, I'm Derek Alexander. You need to check out SpaceMoneyOctagon.com, and I hope to see you soon. Stay powerful. Thank you.